Welcome to this episode of Forgiving the Girl Inside, a Matter of the Heart. This is May of 2022. We are recording beautiful stories of women post-abortion, miscarriage, or loss of a child in this series for this month called Sharing the Secret. So if you're watching this in the future, you want to catch the other episodes, just look for May of 2022 and you'll hear wonderful stories of how women have gone through their healing journey. Anytime we experience loss, there is a grieving process. A lot of us don't get the chance to grieve that loss for whatever truths we tell ourselves. And the truth might be askewed because of external validation, of our worldview, of how we project people may see us in those circumstances. I know for me, I had 2 abortions prior to the age of 17, and I buried it. I swore I would never tell. And that secret ate at my inner sides. My inner being was just totally taken over. And it wasn't until I started to reveal from the inside out that healing truly began and forgiveness set in, and I was able to embrace joy. So these stories are meant to help you, to let you know that you are not alone, that you need to reveal to heal. And there is a safe place, non-judgmental place that you can do that. By connecting with these women, connecting with myself. So today's special guest is the beautiful Joanne Crafton. She is an author and a mentor. She is incredible. She has an incredible story and so many things to share. But today we're going to focus on her healing journey from a miscarriage that she had. So thank you so much, Joanne, for being here. Tell us, what was life like before you found yourself pregnant with this situation? How old were you? What were you doing? How excited? What were the circumstances around it?
Well, I was an early parent. I had my oldest child at 17. Didn't know that I was pregnant with Amanda until I started feeling cramping and sickness. And then I went to the bathroom and there was a lot of blood. And so I got up and I called my doctor and, he talked about it. And I went into him and he explained that I'd had a miscarriage. Shh, Zena, come.
The dog barking.
Zena, it's okay. Come. Zena. Anyway, she's gonna bark. Anyway, and I was mortified.
Yeah, that's pretty scary. 17 years old and you find yourself in that position. You don't expect it at all.
Yeah. Zena, it's okay. Somebody came to the door to get something they were picking up.
She's being your little protector.
She is. She thinks she's so tough and bad, though. Anyway. Zena, no, stop. How entertaining. Zena Marie. That's enough.
Oh, she's got a middle name.
She does. Dad gave it to her.
Zena Marie Crafton, quiet.
Yeah, pretty much. Quit.
Like, I want to be on the podcast too.
I know, right? And she's so pretty. But anyway, she's calming down now. So, shh. Okay. Next question.
Yeah. So you found yourself in this situation. You're bleeding. You said you were making it. You called somebody. You had somebody that you could trust that you called. Was it?
I called my doctor.
Okay.
The doctor I was using at the time.
Okay. And then what happened?
I went into the office and I brought him what I expelled, and he said, yes, you miscarried and I need to do a D&C. So he performed the D&C in the office while my 2 boys, I had 2 boys. I had Jean and then I had Sean and then I had Amanda. Sorry, Zena, stop. So the boys were playing on the floor. Stop. While the D&C was performed, and then he asked me if I wanted to know what sex the baby was, and I said no, because if it was a daughter, it would have killed me. And then lo and behold, a week later, He called, he said, "This is Dr. So-and-so, and your baby was a girl," and click, and he hung up.
Oh, wow. Um, how far along were you?
Like I said, I didn't even know. We figured out, and oddly enough, my niece had a miscarriage here at my home, and the baby was the same size as my baby was. So we figured out we were 8 or 9 weeks.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize they can detect the sex at that young of an age.
Yeah, they can. Yeah.
That's amazing. How come he called and hung up?
I told him I didn't want to know, and he was angry with me because my second son, we had owed him money for the birth, and then some other procedures that needed to be done, and I think it was just a dig at me.
Wow, that's hurtful. Are you glad you know
Very.
now?
Hmm?
When you received the information, how did you feel?
I was wrecked. I
Mhm.
wanted a little girl so bad, Lisa. That was my dream, my hope, and my prayer, to have a daughter. And then I had my two sons, and then Amanda in heaven, and then I have another son. Thank you, God, that He has provided daughters for me now. But I
Mhm.
had no idea I'd have to wait so long to get them.
Mhm. So is Amanda, is
Is
that
my daughter that's in
the-
heaven.
that's the one that you miscarried?
Yes,
Okay. So you named her.
I did.
When did you
Her name
name
is Amanda Diane Thorpe.
her? Aw. How many years has it been?
So Jean was born in 81, Sean was born in 82, Amanda was born in 83, and Jeff was born in 84. So 83, 1983.
Okay.
I was 17, 18, 19 when Amanda died.
Oh,
I
wow.
had all my kids before I was 21.
Yeah, a young mom with the
I'm
most
grateful
energy.
for it because I
Yeah,
had the energy to properly
exactly.
train
Especially with all
them.
those boys, being a boy
Oh,
specialist.
yes, definitely.
So what was it like for the healing process? I mean, you went to the doctor and you had all, you had to go through the GNC, and then, well, how long after did he call you? You said a week after, so you were still in a
Yeah.
lot of physical pain.
Yeah, I was cramping and still, pretty much bleeding and everything. But honestly, Lisa, I had two baby boys that I had to focus on. And I think I went into autopilot. I don't remember. I remember the first initial shock and the grief, because I know I laid there on that bed, during the procedure, just with tears running down my face. But honestly, I was not able to heal from Amanda's death until about 4 years ago. A friend of mine runs a dove release business,
Mhm.
and she said that she does dove releases for funerals, and then we got to know each other really, really well, and then she found out that I have lost a child, and there is a little, it's called Little Angels, and it's a memorial up here at Evergreen Funeral Home, and they do a service once a year for these little angels that never made it to life or that we lost early. And they do a whole service and they put it all together, and it's beautiful, and you can go there and honor the life of your child. And so through that, she took me up there one time, and we personally released doves in Amanda's name and Amanda's spirit, and it was just beautiful. I had never really healed from that moment. I had just buried it, and like you talked about, when we bury these things, they eat us alive from the inside out. We need to address them. We need to look at them, and we need to say, hey, this happened. Now what? And we need to move forward in that healing.
Yes, exactly. So you just began the healing journey about 4 years ago, you said, when you did the dove
Yeah.
release.
Yeah.
Is that when you named her?
No, I named her the minute I found out it was a girl.
Okay. Wow. Did you tell your two boys about her?
I don't recall telling them until they were older. Like I said, I think Jean was 2 and Sean was 1, and then Amanda was born, and then I had Jeff a year later. So I don't recall talking to them until they were at least like preteen years or something. And then I, explained that I'd had a miscarriage and that you have a sister in heaven, and when they were old enough to understand.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And was your husband there at that time, or?
My ex-husband did not believe that I had the procedure and miscarried. My mother also did not believe it. They were like, if I didn't see it, I can't believe it. So I was dealing with the grief on my own, just, and like I said, I just swallowed it and just muddled through as best I could, focused on the two children.
So you basically distracted yourself and felt all alone and had no one to talk to about it, and your husband wasn't supportive.
Not at all.
Sounds like he didn't even believe that you were pregnant.
No, he didn't. He and my mom both called me a liar. And
Wow.
there's that little voice inside, Lisa, that, you know, that kept saying she was real. She was real. Even if they didn't believe it, it didn't change that reality for me. And I just kind of swallowed that too and held it down there, you know, with that pain and that bitterness. And why couldn't I have a daughter and all those questions? And, you know, and it's so interesting how when we do heal, how we can see, like, I'm telling you the truth. I love my daughters. I love my granddaughters. I love, you know, women. But when girls are young, they're a little bit of drama. And I got stepdaughters. And so I did have some experience with that. But I was like, I'm a boy mom. I'm a boy mom. When it comes down to those, wow, wow. And I'm like, really? I can't do that. I can't. I'm like, nope, that doesn't work with me. My granddaughter tried it one time. I said, that doesn't work with grandma. So I'm a boy mom. Let's just handle it. Let's just get it right out there. Let's just duke it out and say it and get it done. None of this door slamming drama stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm a boy mom. We're good. But with boys come bonus daughters.
That's true. Yes, your family grows, so you did end up getting the daughters that you want, and granddaughters too. So that's beautiful. That's a
Yeah.
beautiful journey. And the if you could change something, I mean, we obviously can't go back and change our circumstances, but if you could do something differently, what would you have done?
The only thing I would do differently is hold on to, was to learn earlier on in life that someone else's feelings are their feelings, they're their opinions. It didn't change my reality. And that's that one thing I said. Like I said, I swallowed it, I inhaled it, I held on to it. And their feelings that Amanda didn't exist didn't change my reality. And that's how I got that perspective. Amanda was real. I remember being there on that cold table. I remember the tears running down my eyes. I remember the doctor, I won't say his name, even though he's deceased, calling me and telling me that my baby was a girl. Their disbelief did not change my reality. And that was some of those concrete things that you learn and you grow through life, you know, that your feelings and your opinions don't change my reality. You know what I mean? And so believe in yourself, you know, trust yourself and you know yourself so that you have that concrete foundation for you to grow on and stand on.
Yeah, it's so important to listen to yourself, because a lot of times unprocessed feelings come out sideways and we end up with, sleepless nights and, pain in our bodies, especially in our lower back and things from unprocessed emotions. And
Yeah.
we focus, thoughts are so powerful, and we focus on what we believe is the truth because we've been conditioned over and over again to believe it. And it sounds like you experienced a little bit of that, saying, well, you weren't pregnant, you just, whatever, went to the doctor for whatever, you want
Right.
attention, you're always, and then fill in the blank. And I know a lot of women hear that, especially from unsupportive mates who, don't want to be bothered with that inconvenience or that timing, or, they're just selfishness and self-pride, whatever it may be. And then the woman is, women are very, emotional, not, I don't want to say emotional in a negative way, but women need to express themselves more so
Right.
than I think men do, because men are more quiet, but men have just as much of a need as we do, but they're so much better at hiding it. And when we hide our feelings, we're taught from a very young age, oh, don't cry. And it's like, crying is not bad. It's cleansing. It's our way, it's our body's way of cleaning out the sadness from the inside. And if you think about how intricately we are designed, we need to process and receive every feeling. We need to identify the feeling and where we're feeling it and why we're feeling that way. And we're so prone to focus on negative things. You know, I was having a conversation today earlier, and the person was like, oh, you know, I'm just numb, I'm not going to be able to go forward. I knew I shouldn't have done this, I should have just stayed where I was, and there was these regrets. And it's like,
Wow.
no, stop and flip that. Think about what good came out of that situation. What did you learn? What did you glean from that? And if you could flip your thoughts, I mean, what you think happens, right? Because whatever you're focusing on is what's going to be fruitful in your life. So if you're focusing on being hurt, sad, it's going to be fruitful in your life, sadness and hurtfulness. But at the same time, it's not you saying, I can never be hurtful or sad. You still need to process those feelings and work through them. But that's when you, like, you know, you connect with a trusted, you know, person in your life, or you journal, or you do something. What was your, you talked about using the doves. So did you do anything else for your modality as far as healing from your daughter's miscarriage?
I journaled.
You
I
journal?
journaled. Yeah, I write a lot. And journaling helps me get it from in here and in here out to where, because once you get it out, you can actually look at it. And so many times we find that there is so many other things, other people's opinions or feelings, you know, brought into that. And you're like, wait, that's not even mine. I'm not even connected to that feeling. And so, you know, journaling, but again, journaling reiterated the fact that just because my mom and my husband didn't believe me, didn't change the fact that, you know, Amanda was real and viable and died. And, you know, for years I beat myself up thinking that it was my fault, because the doctor did tell me that because I had 3 children in 3 years, my body was stronger. And so basically it said, I can't do a third child in a third year. So it executed the procedure, I guess. And I felt that that was me, that was my fault, you know, that I had killed my baby. And it took a long time for me to heal that. And for me, again, getting to that point where I wasn't responsible. It's not like I, you know, made that decision for myself. My body did it. And my body just said, I need to rest. And so, you know, I just had to trust that it happened, you know, everything they say, everything happens for a reason. And even though I didn't agree with the reason, um, I needed to trust that that was not the time, you know, for my daughter. And the other thing is too that I have found in retrospect of this situation is, Lisa, if I'd have had Amanda, my heart would have been closed off to my stepdaughters. And my stepdaughters needed me so badly. And because I'd had the relationship with my mother, I could understand their relationship with their mother. So I was able to become that safe space for them. But again, if I'd have had Amanda, I would have said, well, I have my daughter, I'm good. And they would have been outside of that, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
that would have broken my heart. And even though it was difficult um, to fix them, because I argued with God and argued with God, God, I don't want to fix them. I didn't break them. And God said, I want you to do this. And I argued with him. And when I finally let down my barriers, our relationship was so beautiful, so incredible, so amazing. I have my daughters. I have them. I have Amanda in heaven, but I have earthly daughters, you know? And it wasn't, not to mention the fact that at that time I was married to an alcoholic. Like I said, I had 17, 18, and then Amanda in 19. I had 3 babies, an alcoholic spouse who cheated on me, who drank all the money away, who I constantly had to go get food boxes. Could I have handled a third child? I already had 4 because my ex-husband was a child. You know what I mean? Could I
yeah.
have done that? How? And even though we do the things that are the hard things, I was so stressed out at that time. You know, maybe it was the stress. Maybe it was, you know, too much on my body. I was so young, but I also believe that I was healthy and strong. But you
Mhm.
know what I mean? And now I've realized that everything happened the way it happened for a reason. We may not understand the reason, but we need to just trust that process and that journey. And that's the one thing that I have found through my entire 58 years is that we need to trust the process and the journey.
Oh, absolutely. And, a lot of people say that's easier said than done, just to trust the process. And you had said, I had interviewed Nikki Franklin had a miscarriage. She's on this series as well. We've is on May 8th, I think. But anyway, she had said the same thing about, did I kill my baby? And I never realized with miscarriage that a woman would feel that way, because as someone who had 2 abortions, I know I killed my babies, and it was something I had to live with for a very long time, forever. But I didn't, because I had concluded that that was my truth, and I was 16 years old, and I felt at that time that was the only choice I had. I was told by the person I was with that, no, we're doing this. You don't have a say. You do it as I say, you do as I say, and that's it. And, I swore I would never tell, because I was so full of shame and so guilty. And I would think, well, why would I make such a decision? And when I moved into, my coaching business with Divine Heart Alignment, helping women post-abortion trust their intuition again without external validation, using the therapeutic power of cognitive behavior, I thought, this is also for women miscarriage and loss of a child, because even though it's a different circumstance, it's still the same thought process that we go through in that grieving and that loss, and being able to honor our heart-centered agreements and saying to ourselves, this is not in alignment with what I wanted to do, but I can't change those circumstances. So how can I trust the process? How can I glean the good from what did happen? And it took you a while. I mean, I know it took me over 3 decades, and we're still working on it. It's still an everyday grieving process and healing process, and it's still a choice, but to focus on the good that came. And like you said, you were able to open up your heart to your stepdaughters. You were able to, be there and have that relationship with them. And for whatever reason, that's what it said. That's what had happened. And I know someone once told me that when in Italian, aborto means miscarriage, which I found interesting, because that's the word we use for abortion, but abortion is just abort, leave the mission. And someone had told me that it was a choice of that soul. He chose not to be here. And regardless, like I'm always saying, I believe this, that our breath is from God. That's a fact. The breath we have comes from God. He gives us life, and he takes away life. When we stop breathing, it's because God is not giving us his breath anymore. And we're all have a time, like we think about the day that we're born and the day that we die, but there's the dash. What do we do in between? And every moment that you have a breath is something that you can do to show your love for the Lord, to love others the way God loves us. And when we think about the end of that dash, that's the only thing that's certain. We're all going to die. Regardless of what path we're on, we're all going to die. And we have no idea what that date is. And we don't know why some souls make it longer than others. And it's a mystery that we'll never know this side of heaven. But those conversations always intrigue me, because when it comes to a loss of a child, because they are a child, because they are brand new, and there's so much hope and so much life and so much. But as moms, as the barrier of these children, we have a wonderful gift to be able to bear children and to give life. And what an honor to be created in God's image, to give a life the way God gives us life. And I think that's, for me, in a spiritual sense, that's what my struggle was, is that I was irresponsible with that truth, with that trust, with that responsibility. And I just kind of negated it. Thankfully, the Lord forgave me. And I have 3 beautiful children who are just beautiful souls. And when I look back at what I've done and take the good out of it, I became stronger and more courageous. And now I'm able to share my story, which was so very hard. And I know a lot of women who have experienced miscarriage post-abortion, loss of a child, don't want to talk about it because they're afraid of judgment. They're afraid of what others are going to say. They're afraid that people aren't going to understand, or they're so used to that, shove it under the rug. No, oh, what do you care? That happened years ago. Why are you still hurt by
Right.
that? And and
Can I
it
share
doesn't matter.
something?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I found out that I had a grandchild that I didn't know that I had. And one of my son's girlfriends aborted their baby without talking to my son or the family. And for a long time, I was really angry and hurt. That was my first grandchild. But then God said to me, Joanne, it wasn't your life. She didn't feel ready. She didn't feel able to be a parent. And, my heart wanted to say, well, just give the baby to me. But, they made a decision and they didn't talk to any of us about it. But, the bottom line is, Lisa, no one can make the decision for anyone else what they're ready for and what they're able to handle. And we need to take that loving, supportive way. And I just literally, I see her now and she has some children. Sometimes there gets a little tickle in my throat that wants to say I'm mad. And then the other times say, it is what it is. And she wasn't able to do that. And I just love her to pieces. That is huge growth. But the thing is no one can determine for anyone what they're ready for or able to do. And we just need to trust that we all did the best that we could in the seasons that we've been in, and then forgive ourselves by all means and allow God's forgiveness to soak in.
Mhm. Yes, absolutely. And it's an incredible way to receive healing, is to know that God forgives you. And a lot of us are seeking this void, trying to fill this void in our heart because of past mistakes that we've made. Maybe we're turning to self-sabotage or people pleasing or what have you. And just by flipping those thoughts and looking for the good in all circumstances really makes a difference in our journey, and having that safe place, that non-judgmental place. You might not be able to get it from your immediate family members, from your mate or whoever, but don't stop looking. Look for women, like-minded women who can help. And there's so many different resources. Joanne, tell us about what you're doing to help women with a different type of trauma. I know you're an author. Tell us about your book.
Well, my book is the story of my life, dealing with sexual abuse from the age of 5 on until I was a teenage, and then some odd into my adult years. And so I wrote a book. God told me to write a book, and I wrote it. And I just think that it's an incredible blessing. It talks about the journey of, and I think that we need to look at all of our circumstances and situations, our life as a journey. But it talks about making it through these incredibly difficult things, alcoholic husband, being abused physically, mentally, emotionally, sexually, um, all the ways I think that you can be abused. I was abused. And the journey through all of this. And again, I was talking today about thriving versus surviving. And it's a huge, huge difference. You don't realize that you're on autopilot and that you're living by rote and you're missing so much. So my book is about healing. It's about doing the mind switch, the mind flip, changing the things to a positive mindset. And then I'm working on a companion journal workbook for my book. And I recently got my degree of for the mental health coach, mental health wellness coach. And so I'm working and I'm teaching at our church, the Wounded Heart, which deals with sexual abuse. And I think that God, I don't think God did this to me, but I think these things happened to me so that God could use me to help women heal. And my heart is all for that. I want to see people walk out of that cave and say, I'm alive, and not just be saying it, but feeling it and believing it, and really seeing the difference. You guys, there's a difference in every situation you look through, whether you're looking through a broken set of lenses or whether you're looking through a fresh perspective set of lenses, and it makes a huge difference in your life.
Mm. does. That's awesome. I love that journey that you're on. And how can people connect to you? What's the best way to reach you?
You can reach me via Facebook. I'm also on Instagram, LinkedIn. Joanne, it's either Joanne Crafton, Joanne Hall Crafton, or Joanne Hall. I think my Instagram is Joanne Hall, which I need to go change that. I need to get it all the same. So anyway, but yeah, Facebook is my main mode of transportation right now. Joanne Hall Crafton. And I would love to hear from you and just see, where you're at. And
Yeah, well, thank you. And we'll put the links in the description to connect with you. Your book will be there. It's available on Amazon.
it's available on every major retailer.
What's the title of the book again?
Taking a Different Path, Finding Joy in the Journey by Sophia James.
Awesome.
And let's see. I think I have one. Oh, it's buried.
Well,
I can't find it.
well, thank you
Anyway,
so much for sharing your journey and being here today. Really appreciate you. And if you are listening to this and you know someone who it will resonate with, please share it and check out the other stories of the women sharing their different healing journey from post-abortion, miscarriage, or loss of a child. And remember, you're never alone. And if you're looking for support, connect with Joanne, connect with myself. I have a beautiful program called Divine Heart Alignment, where you can just really honor your heart-centered agreements so that you can start making decisions based on what you are designed for, not what people tell you to do, which is so
amen.
important. A lot of times when we have these traumas in our life, we start doubting ourselves, and we just want to know that you are in a safe place. So remember, mindset is the crux of all that we do. It's a matter of the heart.